Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to Guns N' Roses Central. And I wanted to thank one of my subscribers who suggested this episode of Guns N' Roses True Story to me. So he said, hey, why don't you do one about the cover art behind Chinese Democracy? I did one for Appetite for Destruction. I did one for Use Your Illusion albums. So I thought Chinese Democracy's got an interesting story behind the cover art. And let's get started talking all about the history of it and maybe some of the symbolism behind it as well. So in 1999, Axl was interviewed by Kurt Loder on MTV, and he was there promoting his new song, Oh My God, which was featured on the new Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, The Equalizer, and he was also talking a bit about Live Era, which came out around the same time. Now, this is when we first started to hear what the album's name was going to be called. So Loder asked him, you're going to call this album Chinese Democracy? What is the meaning of that, since there is no Chinese democracy, of course? He said, well, there's a lot of Chinese democracy movements, and I think it's something there's a lot of talk about, and it's something that would be nice to see. It could also just be an ironic statement. I don't know. I just like the sound of it. So at a 2001 House of Blues shows that Guns N' Roses performed on New Year's Eve, Axl talked a bit about the name of the album and the inspiration behind it. Here's what he had to say.
This next song is something new. You know, right before I came here, when I left LA, the movie Kundun was on about the Dalai Lama. I kind of like the idea that we're playing the House of Blues because it's kind of associated with that. That came about. I was at the House of Blues in Chicago when Vegas called me. Gig for Rio at the House of Blues. And sure. So, you know, I was getting ready to leave, and the TV was on, and it was the end of the movie, and the Dalai Lama is about to cross over the border, to be in exile for the rest of his life from his own country. And he looks back at the men who helped him escape the Chinese government, and he looks back at them and he waves, and they wave at him, and then they show a scene where he looks back at them again and he sees every one of them dead because he knew that they would be killed. They knew that in helping him they would be killed. And the emotion in this next song, that's all that's about it. It's not like an intelligent song. It doesn't have the answer to anything. But it's the title track of the record, which, God willing, we will finish. And it's not necessarily pro or con about China. It's just that right now China symbolizes one of the strongest yet most oppressive countries and governments in the world, and we are fortunate to live in a free country. And so in thinking about that, it just kind of upset me.
So as far back as 2002, Axl gave an indication that he already had an idea of what he wanted the cover art to be. So he put out a press release back in 2002 talking about the Guns N' Roses upcoming album, as well as talking about some of the past beefs with some of the ex-members of the band. In the press release, he said, it feels right, the timing and a lot of things. We've sorted it down to what songs are going to be on the record, what the sequence of the songs is. The album cover art is ready, blah, blah, blah. If you're waiting, don't. Now that we feel we have clarity as to the album we're trying to make, we're wrapping it up. We've had every obstacle and every strange occurrence that you can have for us. And for us to be playing Hong Kong in a few days is a big step. So on August 14th, Guns N' Roses played a show in Hong Kong, and Axl actually talked a bit to the audience, according to one fan who actually attended the show. So before GNR played Chinese Democracy, Axl told a little anecdote about why the album is called Chinese Democracy. He said it was because he saw a photo taken in Hong Kong, which he's using as the new album cover, and then he showed it on the video screens, and it was a black and white picture of a bicycle with a basket, and in the wall behind it, someone had graffitied Guns N' Roses. He said, I didn't paint that myself, so one of you mother effers out there must have did it. And according to an interview that Dizzy Reed did with Metal Sludge back in 2006, he said at one point that was going to be the cover of the record, referring to the bicycle. I'm not sure if it's now. This one guy, he was my keyboard tech at the time, Michael, and I mean, he was in China at the time and he saw that and took a picture of it and showed it to Axl. Now, there was some fake fan art that actually showed up online. Some people thought it was legitimate artwork for the album, but this is one of them, which closely resembles what ended up on the final album, and this was another one as well. So about a month before Chinese Democracy came out, the actual track list and cover art was revealed for fans to see, and almost a couple weeks before Chinese Democracy came out in 2008, the full artwork actually leaked online as well. Now in 2008, Axl talked in one of his fan chats after Chinese Democracy came out about alternate artwork for Chinese Democracy. He said there are 2 more covers, a BK cover combos and a real booklet that is all artwork that will be out shortly in some form. It's been an ugly battle that hasn't made sense to anyone, and whether anyone cares about such things, the booklet or artwork, has always been something I've been passionate about. So in April of 2009, the video game Rock Band 2, made by Harmonix, actually released Chinese Democracy as a downloadable album in its entirety, and Shackler's Revenge had already appeared on the game's disc when it came out in September of 2008. So the rest of the songs that weren't made available at launch were now available to download in April 2009. And interestingly enough, the artwork that was used for the Guns N' Roses songs in the game featured this alternate artwork that a lot of people hadn't seen before. Now in 2016, somebody on the MyGNR forums actually reached out to the Chinese Democracy art director known as Ryan Corey and asked him about his work on the album. So one of the questions he was asked is, when did you start working on the art of the album? And he said, we only started working on this project shortly before it's released. We had a bit more time to focus on the cover, but once that was decided, the rest of the package had to be completed in a matter of days, and I was only allowed one long night to complete 99% of the artwork. He also asked, did you have a call from Axl or the management team? I mean, how did this relationship start? He said, we had a lot of meetings with Axl's management, but no direct contact with him at all. He's pretty reclusive. So he was also asked about the work. Did you receive clear work instructions? Did you have the freedom in your creative process? He said Axl had the bike photo to begin with. My understanding was that he had it in mind for the cover for a couple of years prior to the album's release. So we had a pretty clear instructions that the photo was going to be on the cover. We did many different cover options, and eventually Axl settled on the one that was released. After that, it was more about figuring out what the rest of the pieces should look like in accordance with the aesthetic of the cover and how to work in all the photos of the band members and lyrics within the pages allotted. And then there was some very specific instructions as to where something should appear and the inclusions of paintings that appear in the booklet, etc. And he was asked, maybe you're not a GNR fan, but this album was surrounded with mystery throughout the years. What did it mean for you to do this job? I mean, this was Axl's comeback. He said, I was aware of the magnitude and the mystique surrounding the project, so I felt proud to be able to be part of it. I knew a lot of people would be anticipating this record, and at one point the album art leaked to the internet before its release, and that was almost a big fiasco. How has the art been received by GNR fans? Do they like it or no? To which the interviewer said, I like it, but I've told them there are mixed opinions about the artwork. And the last question, which a lot of fans want to know, is how about the alternative covers? There are plenty of them online. Some of them are supposed to be fake, but the Red Hand cover is shown in the Smog site as an original piece of work. What is the story behind the different covers? What is your favorite one, the bicycle or the hand? He said, the only 2 covers I know about are the bicycle and the Red Hand, both of which were officially released by Geffen. After the bike package was out, Axl wanted to do a special art edition that featured art that he personally selected from various sources. That turned out into a complete alternate package, and I think it was only a very limited release. As far as the covers are concerned, it's hard to choose one or the other. Maybe it's because I started at the bicycle for so long, maybe it's because I stared at the bicycle for so long that it was refreshing to look at something different, and I like the Red Hand because I think the artist does interesting work, but the bicycle has good traits as well. Now let's talk about the deeper meaning of the actual album art, because this is Axl, and it's not just a simple bike with some graffiti on the back. There's always some deeper meanings. Now, the shot on the cover was snapped in Kowloon Alley in Kowloon Walled City in China. So the picture, according to one poster on the GNR Revolution forums, which I think hit it perfectly on the head, says the picture is a functional metaphor on multiple levels. The first being that someone risked their neck to graffiti Axl's band name in the middle of a controlled, arguably totalitarian state, referring to the Chinese government. It's something so far detached from the luxuries of American life that it's hardly to be believed. They also goes on to say, from there, the walled-off city could also double as a metaphor for Axel himself, walled up in his own mansion, isolated, quickly referring to the dust with unsettling pace. The general artifice of the place doesn't inspire confidence. An old decrepit building housing the low and forgotten, best avoided at all costs. It could be something that mirrors the Guns N' Roses brand itself. So that does it for my true story episode of looking at the artwork behind Chinese democracy. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Were you guys underwhelmed when you saw it, or were you guys really happy when you saw it, and was it what you expected? So the rest of the video, just some more artwork from the actual booklet, as well as some alternate artwork as well. So thanks for watching, guys, and make sure you hit the subscribe button if you love Guns N' Roses as much as I do. Take care.